Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us. It's Wednesday, April 3rd. You're watching News 2 on Channel 4 and 504. I'm April Knight. Topping our stories tonight, the Army Corps of Engineers is gearing up for various improvement projects in the territory. On Tuesday, the Army Corps announced that Phase 2 of the much-anticipated Savan Gut project is underway. News 2's James Gardner has this story.
The United States Army Corps of Engineers, along with the Virgin Islands Department of Public Works, hosted a public meeting to discuss flood risk reduction in St. Thomas. The meeting, which was held at the Frederick Lutheran Church, focused on Phase 2 of the Savan Gut project. According to Tim Murphy, Deputy District Engineer for Programs and Project Management at the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, a lot of infrastructure was built before 1990. Out of the aftermath of Hurricanes Irma and Maria, there is an opportunity to build better and stronger. There's a lot of projects on the table, starting with the Savan Gut project.
The suffering and the trauma that we went through for Hurricane Maria and Irma has given us an opportunity. There was lots of pain and suffering and damages involved, and now we have an opportunity to build some infrastructure for the Virgin Islands. We're looking forward to that. We have a whole host of projects that we're looking at, specifically the one here today for Savan Gut.
The Savan Gut starts around the Jane E. Tuitt Elementary School, goes down to Gamble Gardner, where Weeks and Weeks Bakery is located, then down to Back Street and ends at the St. Thomas Harbor. As you can see, the gut is in bad shape. It smells like sewage and there's a lot of trash and debris in the gut.
The engineering recommendation is actually to cover the culvert of the Phase 2 area, which I don't know originally if that was in the plan, but we figured it would prevent a lot of the debris from getting in and people dumping things into the culvert, which just makes the problem worse.
The project is slated to cost $70 million with a cost ratio of 4, which means for every dollar the federal government spends, the VI gets 4 times the amount of benefits in flood damage reduction. For News 2, this is James Gardner.
Today at the BCB Middle School, there was another public meeting, this time on the Turpentine Run project. That's the area around the Bridge to Nowhere in Nada. We'll have that in a later newscast. Well, if you remember a couple of weeks ago, we reported on the Senate Finance Committee sending a subpoena to AECOM because the company, which is one of the prime contractors for the FEMA-funded emergency home repairs program, failed to show up at a hearing meant to find out why a lot of contractors are not getting paid on time or at all. That second hearing happened on Tuesday, where AECOM executives told lawmakers that the slow release of FEMA funding is the culprit for the cash flow problem. But AECOM wasn't the only company on the hot seat. Witt O'Brien's, the government's consulting and advisory firm, also got grilled by lawmakers. Here's more of that exchange.
In order to initiate the program and expedite the early stage repairs for the people impacted by the hurricanes, AECOM secured a $30 million credit line with banks. By June 2018, this $30 million credit line was fully exhausted because of the delay of initial program funding. At one point, AECOM's working capital position reached negative $100 million because the majority of the payments we've received to date have been paid out to subcontractors and material suppliers. No other company working toward the Virgin Islands recovery has placed such a large personal investment into this program.
How can we be satisfied? You're not the ones that are stopped in the street. We can't even go to the grocery store because of all the issues. And the common denominator is Witt O'Brien.
Wow.
You have a not to exceed amount in your contract?
Yes.
So what's the not to exceed amount?
$85 million.
$85 million. So it may be in your best interest to keep this stretched out until you get to your not to exceed amount. You are supposed to be the entity that deals with the efficiency of this entire operation. You cannot answer the time frame that it takes to process an invoice. You cannot tell us if you have standard operating procedures. You cannot speak to an eligible scope of work. But you sit there smiling because you're laughing all the way to the bank at the people's expense. And I take strong exception to that.
Also at that Senate hearing, lawmakers tabled a bill that would remove certain powers from the Office of Management and Budget Director. Bill proponent Senator Alicia Barnes, whom you just saw, wants the OMB director to not have the ability to change or reduce appropriations for agencies or programs that the Senate, which holds the purse strings of government, already deliberated on. The bill was held in committee pending some amendments. We'll keep you updated. Well, on St. Croix, thanks to a grant from the Urban Land Institute, the St. Croix Foundation invited StoryCorps, the nonprofit organization dedicated to preserving and sharing the nation's stories, to record conversations with various St. Croix residents. News 2's Gary Anthony has that story.
This week, the Florence A. Williams Library hosted StoryCorps' interview. It's an impressive group, according to St. Croix Foundation President of Community Development, Deanna James.
To try to create a really very thoughtful roster of individuals in our community who we thought gave the best representation of who St. Croix is, young and old, and really making sure that we use this opportunity to capture some of our tradition bearers and culture bearers and the stories that oftentimes I think most of us don't get a chance to hear about.
The unscripted conversations consist of two people who know each other well, and it's an opportunity to tell stories of personal experiences and vivid memories.
We don't have a specific list of questions for the participants to answer. A lot of times they have asked, okay, so what am I going to talk about, or where should I start? And it's really just up to the participants to highlight their story. You know, it could be the highest moments, it could be the lowest moments, but it's really just an opportunity for them to share what's helped make them who they are today.
It was good to reflect on my childhood and bring it up to date to the present. Of course, we tried to put in 72 years in 40 minutes, and then once you get going, that's it. It's like hard to stop, but I think we covered some very important points.
In addition, documenting these stories can have a positive impact on future generations.
So I think having a clear understanding of their identity, who they are, especially as Virgin Islanders, how we're unique, what makes them special, what makes home home, what makes St. Croix different from any other island, and just who they are as people. I think that's very important. It's easy to get lost when you don't know who you are, and I think this kind of helps to bring that home, having intergenerational conversation, and just an opportunity for them to reflect on how they became to be who they are.
I think it's really important to have your story told, and it's not always asked like who you are or what your impact to the world means. You don't often get to talk about that or have those conversations. It's like, hi and bye, what's the weather like? And so these are times to really sit down and reflect about who you are, what's important to you. And so I'm very thankful to be a part of StoryCorps and be invited to such beautiful places such as St. Croix.
For News 2, I'm Gary Anthony.
Thank you for that, Gary. StoryCorps participants are given a copy of their conversations, as well as given the option of having their conversations archived in the Library of Congress. Coming up next, all about Child Abuse Prevention Month, plus a St. Croix teen hero was recognized by Governor Bryan. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching News 2. April is Child Abuse Prevention Awareness Month, and local nonprofits are teaming up to make sure that this important and somewhat hidden issue should be brought to the forefront. Today, we had social workers from the Family Resource Center on St. Thomas and the Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault Council to talk about this topic and what the community can do to stem child abuse in the territory. Here's more.
Remember, we have different types of abuse. It's not just, most of us we think physical, but we have sexual, we have educational abuse, parents not taking their children to get medical help, so that also is abuse. And we also have abandonment. We have neglect, you know, where sometimes you see children with their clothes torn.
The age of consent in the territory is 18 and 1 day. So if you're under 18 years old and 1 day, you cannot consent by law. And so that means someone is taking advantage of you, someone is abusing you, someone's assaulting you, someone is raping you, and it needs to be reported.
We might not have local statistics because they're kind of difficult to find.
There is data, but the thing is that it's not up to par because of the reports are not coming in as they're supposed to, and in some cases they report and some don't. With the schools, most likely the school will report it. What we would do is get in contact with the schools, counsel at the school, and then we would do an intake. And with the courts send a few children to us too, especially when they have parents that were abused. They notice that the children were abused too, so they send them to us.
Community, a lot of people may go to their faith-based leader first when there's an issue going on in their home, and so working with the faith-based leaders is very, very important in the territory. And so I work on all 3 islands. It's really important that we're having this conversation now, and it's important for us to really relay these messages to the territory. It's important for us to say that if you are a victim, you could come to us for help. We hear you, we want to help you, and it's not your fault.
Well, remember that young man who saved his friend from drowning in Frederiksted? We featured him on News 2, and we weren't the only ones who took notice. Governor Albert Bryan recently gave St. Croix teenager Saeed Phillips the Courageous Citizen Award to recognize him for his act of bravery and compassion. Saeed jumped off the Frederiksted pier and was able to help his friend Elijah, who was having trouble in the water. Saeed thanks the Caribbean Center for Boys and Girls, where he learned rescue and CPR. He's an aspiring marine scientist, we just learned, so the VI government is also giving him a paid internship in the summer with the Department of Planning and Natural Resources. Also, when Saeed jumped in the water, he had his iPhone on him and his new AirPods that he just got as a birthday gift. He lost both of those, but thanks to AT&T, he has a new iPhone and a set of AirPods to replace the ones he lost. Congratulations. Well, VIA made some elderly happy on Tuesday with the help of donations from the private business sector. Residents at the Herbert Grigg Home for the Elderly are just a little bit more comfortable. VIA, the parent company of TV2, made donations along with 2 civic groups on St. Croix. In a presentation at the government-run facility, the residential director awarded all those that helped to make the home more enjoyable for residents. Here's more.
In collaboration with the Virgin Islands Department of Human Services, residents at the Herbert Grigg Home for the Elderly can now enjoy entertainment programming donated by VIA, the largest telecommunication company in the Virgin Islands.
I would like to take this opportunity publicly to thank VIA for the donation of 25 40-inch televisions and cable installation. This donation has improved the morale of the residents, staff, and is well appreciated by the residents. I can't get the remote control away from them now.
Herbert Grigg for the Elderly is the only government-run retirement home on St. Croix, and currently 22 individuals reside at the facility. The retirement home is just one of the programs that is managed by the Department of Human Services.
This is really indeed a pleasure. It is a welcome partnership for us to be able to work with the private sector, because we know that in the government sector we're not able to do it all. Sometimes there are channels that we need to go through, and the private touch adds that expeditious piece to it.
So I think it was already mentioned that VIA has partnered with Herbert Grigg for over 20 years in various ways, and under different leaderships, and Vitelco and Innovative and all of that, everything from purchasing equipment for rooms to even there were times when many of our employees came to help spruce up for the holidays.
The Omega Psi Phi Fraternity and Rotary Mid-Isle were also recognized for their services, helping to lift the appearance of the facility. The governor, who has both worked in both the private and government sector, applauded VIA for their deeds, as well as the organizations that assisted the retirement home, and hopes that his office can be used as a hub.
And as governor, I feel it is my responsibility not to be the light that shines, but to be the hub that connects people to resources that allows them to be successful, to be the magnifying glass that magnifies the capabilities of our resources, to be the one that holds others up on the shoulders and let them get this spotlight.
For News 2, I'm Stephanie Shalana Brown.
Thank you for that, Stephanie. Now, April is also Youth Art Month, and it's one of the many programs that the VI Council on the Arts funds annually. The exhibit opened at the VI Council on the Arts office in downtown Charlotte-Amalie on March 29th and will be open weekdays between 9 to 5 until Friday, April 12th. It features the work of students from 9 schools and 9 community organizations. Retired art teacher Maria Stiles now serves as curator, and she says in light of all that is happening in the community, the arts can be a much-needed therapy for both the artists and the public. Here's more.
Just watching them look at their artwork and feel proud about themselves that they've been able to accomplish this and have their work shown in a public place has been very empowering for them. It's strengthened their confidence, and the arts overall help us to be stronger people.
I started doing woodwork when I was in 4th grade in Gladys A. Abraham Elementary School. My first piece was a fish. My second piece was a flower. And my third piece was an egg.
This kind of style, these two kind of style called anime, is a traditional Japanese art. And what I want to do when I get older, when I finish high school, go college or UPI, after I go to college States, then I'll go to form a company with my friends then. And hopefully one day we put smile the people that want to inspire to be artists, such as myself, and other people that are around.
Great job. Make sure you check them out. Stick around. Your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.
Good evening. As we continue into your forecast here, noticing the winds definitely picking up because our trades are picking up, and that's going to continue to be the case for the next several days. Here is a look at your current satellite. Got some moisture coming across the Virgin Islands, also seeing that down in towards the leewards and to our north, also watching a boundary move through Bermuda. Now, there will be a high pressure building into the Atlantic. That is going to be the trigger to allow for some stronger winds into the late week. For today, you're looking at, once again, some clouds, some shower activity, even continuing into this evening, I should say. And as we head into tomorrow, also going to be seeing patchy clouds, showers likely. Dropping down to 76 here tonight. For your Thursday forecast, St. John, a high of 85, a stray shower likely in the mid-80s as well for St. Thomas with some shower potential, partly sunny skies. So yes, there will be some sun, but there'll also be some shower activity in St. Croix with a high of 86. Moving into your marine forecast on the Atlantic side, we do have a small craft use caution, especially as you head into the open waters. Going to be a bit rough. Waves running at 4 to 6 feet, sometimes even higher than that, and winds out of the east 10 to 15 knots. Once again, we're going to see these winds continue to pick on up, possibly 15 to 20 knots when it's all said and done on the Atlantic side. We're already seeing that here on the Caribbean side for a marine forecast for tomorrow. Winds out of the east 15 to 20 knots, waves running 4 to 6 feet, and you also have a small craft use caution. So if you plan to be jet skiing or even just going to the shore to get some water, got to be cautious because those waves going to be coming at you. Now, for your Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, temperatures, your highs remaining pretty near normal. We'll continue to see a brief shower likely Friday and Saturday. And each day this week, the shower activity is going to be available because of the trade winds picking on up. But that also means rough surf stays in place for your late week forecast.
Thank you for that. When we come back, Alex Randall's news and comments. Stick around.
You're watching News 2. This is Alex Randall with News and Comment. What if they held an election and nobody came? That's pretty much what happened in our special election to change the structure of the legislature. Nobody showed up. Well, to be accurate, fewer than 19% of the eligible electorate showed up. In early voting, fewer than 2,000 people, and on voting Saturday, only 4,651 people came out to vote. Now, the law says that half the registered voters have to vote. They need about half of our nearly 26,000 voters, so like 12,000 people. But instead of 12,000, we had like 4,500. Yes got a little more than 3,400. No got a little more than 1,100. So yes won, but not enough. And even if you add all the voters together, it's still not enough to budge anything. We get more people at a Hug-a-Bunch mass camp or a chili cook-off than came out to vote. Not enough, nothing happens, no change. Right on the heels of the election that no one came to, here comes Delegate to Congress Stacey Plaskett asking us to determine our political future. It seems like these topics never go away. Status, Constitution, Senate structure. We debate these topics over and over, but nothing ever seems to happen. We've had 5 constitutional conventions, 1964, 71, 77, 1980, 2007. What are the results? Zip, zilch, nada, no change. We talk about voting rights because we can't vote for president. We thrash that one around, but nothing ever happens. And the status topic never goes away either. Independence, Commonwealth, statehood, no change. Maybe we should just give it a rest and have a carnival, because we know how to do that. We had transfer day again, 102nd transfer day. It never changes. The governor gives a speech, Danish consul gives a speech, music, dancers, steel pan bands. Kind of small this year compared to the centennial. One has to wonder if we really need a holiday for transfer day. Now, we don't have a holiday for the date that France sold St. Croix to the Danes. We don't have a holiday for the date the Knights of Malta seized the islands. We don't have holidays for other transfers of sovereignty, so why do we celebrate Danish Transfer Day, particularly when so few people come out to the celebration? And funnier still, we take the day off on Monday just because the holiday fell on a Sunday. It's as if we have to take every holiday we possibly can. You don't want to miss an excuse to avoid work. On the continent, they have 10 federal holidays. We have more than 20. We have all the federal holidays plus 3 Kings Day, Epiphany, Good Friday, Easter Monday, Transfer Day, Emancipation Day, Liberty Day, Fortsburg Day, Christmas Second Day. And that's not counting all the days when we get administrative leave because the other island has their carnival parade. And if you work in media or tourism or you're a reporter or in laundry or a police officer, you work every holiday. So the next time you're enjoying one of your 20-something holidays, stop and thank a police officer as to work while you goof off. It's a pretty tough life if you're a sea turtle. A lot of things think you look like food. When you hatch out of your shell on the beach, a lot of predators want to eat baby sea turtles. And when you grow up, the human beings look at sea turtles and see soup. Coral World's been working to save sea turtles. One was stranded at the bottom of the Belongo Bay Cliffs on its back with a front flipper injury. They took the turtle to Coral World for treatment, and then American Airlines flew the turtle to Florida to a turtle hospital. If all goes well, the treatment, the recovery, it'll be flown back to St. Thomas and released here. Now, just so you know, all turtles are endangered species, and hunting a turtle will cost you $100,000 and a year in prison. Sea turtles are an ancient species. They've been around since the time of the dinosaurs. The species is around 110 million years old. 110 million, that's the same age as our islands. They deserve our respect. Coral World also saved a peregrine falcon. Strange as it may seem, the falcon was found in the woods of St. Thomas and brought to Coral World. Staff veterinarian x-rayed the bird, found no problems, but clipped wings. Now, these are the fastest birds in the world. They can fly up to 200 miles per hour. Birds with Tony Lance on St. Croix at the Avian Sanctuary now taking care of the birds. May take a year for it to regrow its feathers, but then it's free to fly. That's Coral World and the Avian Sanctuary. They're making good news. This is Alex Randall. Thanks for watching. This was News and Comment. Now back to April.
Thank you for that, Alex. And that's it for our show tonight. We're live on Facebook and YouTube, Channel 4 and 504, 7 p.m. on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, send us a message on Messenger, or email us at newsdirector@tv2.vi. Thanks again for joining us on News 2. I'm April Knight. We'll see you next time.